Okay, so let's get started with the pages for this travel journal that I decided I want it to be like a junk journal, travel journal, art journal type deal. And there's my covers from the last video. I really like the way they turned out. And I did end up lining it off camera. I just took a piece of cardstock, cream colored cardstock, and inked the edges, and I used score tape. I used score tape in the middle, and then since some books are dented, like right here on the spine, and that's what this one is. It's kind of, I'm not sure why they do that. I'm sure there's a reason, but that, you know, so the actual spine is just this piece right here. So I ended up putting a piece of score tape on each one of those dents and really working the paper in so that it would look like, you know, it belonged there all along. I did end up going through the paper just a little bit, but hey. And then I put score tape all around the edges to hold it down. So what I'm thinking I want to do is, page 28 is the fancy policy envelope. So here I've printed it off on one of those matte pages, which I think is really cool. And then I printed it off on just white 110-pound cardstock. And I've already cut some out, so I'm going to show you real quick what they're going to look like. I decided that on the inside cover I want to have a map, or I mean a envelope glued to the inside cover on each side. So that's why I'm using the white cardstock, because I want it to be a little bit more sturdy. And then I think I'm going to do 3 signatures. So the ones that I printed off on the maps are going to be the center of the signatures. So I've already got 2 of those ready, and I've already got one of these ready. So I'm going to go cut these 2 out, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got them cut out, and I went ahead and scored this one and prepped it just to, you know, you've seen me do that 100 times, so I just thought I'd save you the pain and agony of watching me do it again. But I wanted to show you, since this matte paper is such a thin paper, you don't have to do all that scoring. You can just carefully, you know, fold it at the inked distress edges there, and it, you know, it folds up just nice. You don't have to do any extra scoring. There's no cracking or measuring or any of that. You just fold it. This book of maps is really cool, and the paper's really nice. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's, you know, some paper are really dry feeling, and I don't like those kind of papers. But this paper is really kind of nice. I don't know. It's like it's coated with something. It's probably not, but, you know, I was thinking what would be really cool about this idea is if you had a map, or a couple maps of wherever you were going, you could cut it out to 8.5 by 11 and send this through your printer, and that way you would have an exact, you know, you could figure out exactly where it's going to print out. And like, let's say this is where you want to go. Well, you know, that'd be really cool to have that in your journal. So you don't have to just use book pages. You can use actual maps, you know, of places you've been, which would be fun. You may want to do a test print if you're going to use an actual map, because I don't know, I've never used an actual map, so I don't know how that's going to work, but do a test print. But anyway, so I'm going to put these aside for now, because like I told you, I wanted to do like a junk journal type deal. So I'm going, and also an art journal type deal. So I'm going to add some different papers. I've got 2 different papers I think I'm going to use in here. And this one is just a sketch paper. It's a medium tooth sketch paper by Canson. I get it at Hobby Lobby. I don't think it's like the super most awesomest sketch paper, but it is recycled. So it's got a nice feel to it. So I'm going to use some of that. And then I have these lined pages that I had bought, like it was like an insert for a journal, and it was just like the guts, you know, like the block, the book block. So I just kind of carefully took it apart so that I could have some lined pages for my journals and stuff. So I'm going to use some of those, and I think that's it. I thought about using mixed media paper, but, you know, there's not that much room in this book. I picked a skinny one, and I think the mixed media paper might be a little too thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see. Let's get one of these sheets. I've already prepared several, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half like this. Let me get my mat here, my score pal, my cutting mat. And I think, let me see, where's my envelope? Let's use this one. I think I'm going to tear it in half. So these pages will be a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to lay my ruler down on the 6, and I'm going to tear it because I like the raw edge of it. I'm just going to tear it like that, and then that's about not quite 4. Let's see how big this is. Okay, so then I'm going to tear it again on the edge here at 4. Well, and if you use the fat side of the ruler, you get more of a rough edge. I like that. And if you use the skinny side of the ruler, you get more of a straighter, more uniform edge. But I like the rough, so I'm going for the rough side, or the fat side. And then the book, or the lined page, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tear it at 4. And then I think I'm going to tear these ends off. I need to look and see how tall this book is. Yeah. So I'm going to tear this end off too. I think I'm going to tear it like maybe 6 3/4. I mean, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be precise. It's a junk journal, art journal, travel journal. Okay, so you could leave these as is. You can ink the edges if you wanted to, and leave them as is, and put them into your your covers. But I'm going to take it just a little bit further. Since I have my ink sprays still sitting out here, I am going to color the pages with my ink sprays. So, well, so I've already done some of them. I did blue and green and just the vintage brown color. Oh, and I'm also going to do the same thing to this envelope right there. So let me make sure I've got this out here too. The first one I did, since it's going to be attached to the thing, to the cover, so you're really not going to see that backside, but that's kind of the effect. So if you didn't want to, mat the whole thing with these maps like I did, this is a really cool alternative. So I'm just going to show you how I did that. Okay. So I'm just going to lay these out because I think I'm just going to do the blue and brown and then just show you the others. So all I'm going to do first is I'm going to find my score. There it is. Here's just my water bottle. Move some of this stuff out of the way. I'm just going to get them wet. Again, I will link these in the description box below how I made my homemade India ink spray. I'm going to start with blue, so I'm just going to do them all blue. Uh-oh, there we go. I'm going to give a little spritz of blue, and then I'm going to do some brown. Oh, I'm throwing color everywhere. And then I'm going to spray it again with water. And I'm going to dry them with my heat gun and move the pigment around just a little bit. Now if you don't want to completely dry them and you want to go ahead and flip them over and do the other side, that's what I usually like to do because it allows the colors to move about more. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it seems like it does anyway. So then, just do the same thing on the back side. You can go as heavy or as light as you want. And we'll spray them again. You can even pick them up, you know, and let them drip about. Makes cool different little patterns. And you can flip them back over, you know, up on itself over a couple times. Oh. No big deal. Where's that? What is that? Stray something or another. And you can dry them with your heat gun, or you can stick them in the oven. I think if you put them in the oven, you need to be really careful. Do it at a very low temperature, and do it for a little bit in the stack, you know. But I'm going to dry these with my heat gun. Okay, so here they are, all dry. There's one of the sketch paper pages. So you see how it gets all these cool different little streaks and puddles and stuff. And here's the lined paper. Pretty cool, right? This side I didn't get as much blue on, but that's okay. I like it. And then here's some more of that sketch paper. I really think it turns out really cool. The splotchy patterns that it leaves, the watermarks. And then here's the envelope. So there's that. And then here's some of the other pages I already did. So this is just the brown. So that's the sketch paper. There's some more of the sketch paper. And then there's the lined paper. Got a little bit of green on there, looks like. That's the lined paper. And here's the blue and brown that I did earlier. This size sketch paper. And then there's the lined paper. It just really looks cool. I mean, it's really, this blue really is the color of maps. I really like it. And the green, that's the sketch paper, and then there's the lined paper, and then some more sketched paper. So what I thought I would do is I'm going to put the envelope aside for now. I'm going to get this one back out, because what I want to do is each one of these maps are going to be the center of the signature. So I want to go ahead and ink these edges real quick before I forget. I'm pretty sure I did these. Yeah. This is, again, Archival in Coffee by Ranger. And people ask me about it all the time. It's usually just sitting on my desk, and that's why or sitting in my workspace here, and that's why I use it all the time. But another good thing about this stuff is it's permanent. So if you're using it for art journals and stuff, it's not going to smudge and smear everywhere like some other inks will. And if, you know, sometimes you want that. So you just have to be aware of what you're using and what you're going to be doing in it or with your journal. Let's see. With the maps, you really don't have to do a whole lot of inking. It doesn't crack as much as like thick cardstock does, so most of the edges are already done. But I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick run through here, just because. Okay. So now I just need to figure out how I want my signatures to go. Let me get me some paper clips. Oh, one more thing before I forget. I added hole reinforcements. Pretty sure that's what they are. To these. And all I did was flip it over. I grabbed my ruler and my Tim Holtz ruler with the center mark, and then I think I just went about right there where this point and the top of that hump there are touching the 3/4 of an inch line. That way all three of them are the same. I'm just going to mark it, and before I poke a hole in it, I'm just going to stick this down with that hole in the center. And if you use a regular office punch, it fits this hole perfectly. If you try to use the crocodile, it's small. It's smaller and it kind of looks a little weird. You can even put one on the inside. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and do that. Because that way it'll look clean and neat. And all I did with these hole reinforcements, they come white. I just took my ink pad and colored them brown. You can do that with any color. You don't have to use brown or black. You can use any color. Okay. So now I'm going to get some paper clips and a few other things and I'll be right back. Alright, so what I did was I separated the pages into piles. This is the lined paper and this is the sketch paper. So I thought I would make sure that there was each one of the colors in each signature. So I'm going to start with the center and I'm just going to make sure that they each have a lined and sketch. So I'm gonna put a blue one in here, and then I think I'm gonna put a green one next to the map here. Yeah. So that will be my first signature. So I'm gonna open this up and flip this down right here. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to be poking holes and stuff, and I don't want those things to get in the way. So I'm just going to take a paper clip and hold it down just like that. So now there's one signature ready to go. I like the different heights and the different sizes of the pages. I really think that's cool. Alright, here's another one. Let's see. Alright, there's another one. And then this one. Okay. So obviously I have 3 extra blue because I had already made a bunch of pages. So I think that's, well, let's see how this is going to look. Yeah, I think that'll be cool. And then I'm going to have the 2 envelopes. I think it'll be just fine. I think it'll be perfect. And then the inserts and stuff. So, okay. So now I need to figure out how I'm going to do my binding. And I think the easiest thing, because I want it to be able to have a little give. Sometimes when you stitch something into a pre-made book like this, there isn't any give. It's like you open it up and all the pages open up with it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke a couple holes and I'm going to use some eyelets. And I'm just going to do 2, I think. Let's see. Let me use one of the signatures. And see. Whoa. Find the center. Pretty good right there. I think I'll just go 2 on either side of the center. Oh, I'm going to have to be careful right there. I may have to take that flap off. Not off. I may have to do it like this. Yeah, I think so. Try it again. Alright, whoa. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to poke the hose. This is just, people ask me about this all the time, this is just 1/4 of an inch fun foam doubled over, like 2 pieces glued together. So that way I can just not worry about how far to push so I don't go through. You can also ink the edges of all these pages, but I just thought, you know, it looked pretty cool the way it is. Alright, so since I know that it's going to be 2 on either side of the 0, I'm going to find the center of the covers here. They're quite a bit larger. Let's see. So I'm just going to mark it lightly, 2, 2, and then I need to find the center of that spine piece. So sometimes you have to eyeball it. I don't think my regular handheld crocodile will reach there, but I'm gonna see. No, I doubt it. It only goes an inch, it looks like. I'm pretty sure it's not gonna work. Nope. Alright, well, if you don't have one of these fancy gadgets, which is just a crocodile tabletop one, and let me make sure I've got it set to the right. Whoops, no I don't. Okay, there's got all these measurements here. One is to set the eyelet and the other two to punch the holes. And then you can tell which, if you didn't, you know, check that first, you can see what's coming down from there when you squeeze. So if you've got it on to set the eyelets, this top part will squeeze. So, but anyway, so you just stick it in there and line it up and poke right through. Now if you don't have something like this, then you could possibly poke a hole with your paper piercer, or have your holes be a little closer to the end where your regular handheld crocodile can, I don't know why I'm putting that away, can fit. Let me grab some eyelets. Alright, these are the We Are Memory Keepers wide eyelets. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick them in here. I think I'll just do one at a time because sometimes this can get a little awkward. Put that back in the hole there. And then I need to move that back to where it's going to do the eyelet. See, now look. See that thing? That part goes down instead. Alright, so then I'm going to line it up and squeeze. And it did it just perfect. So let me do the other one. Perfect. Now I have two eyelets set in my spine. Okay, so then what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to finish poking my holes. That's what I'm going to do. Where's my other ones? Since I've got that all ready to go, I'm going to poke my hose in here and in the other one, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got all my hose poked, and I'm going to use this crochet thread, and this is in brown. I thought about using a red because there's a lot of red markings on the mat, but it didn't really look right with this cover, I guess because of the orange and stuff. So all I'm going to do is I'm not even going to cut it off yet, I don't think. I'm just going to use a big needle just because it's easier to get that thread in. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the outside where where I poked the hose, and then I'm going to go to the other hole and come back out the outside again. And I'm just going to, I think, well, I probably should have cut it off. I'm just going to leave a big tail, and then I'm going to do the other two. You know what else this helps you do? This helps you, you could take stuff in and out a little bit easier doing this binding method versus, sewing it together like the Coptic stitch, like my other one. Let me find it. My original one that I did in the Christmas paper, I did the Coptic stitch, which is really cool too, and that's really easy to do. So you just leave your envelopes open and you do the Coptic stitch, and you stitch them all together, and then you stitch them to the covers. So that's an easy way to do it too. But since I used this already made old book covers, I didn't want to really stitch it in. You can still do the Coptic stitch with something like this, but it's just easier to do it this way. So then what I'm going to do, I think now I'm going to get this out of the way. I just didn't want to poke through. So now I'm just going to stack them together. Really, I guess no rhyme or reason. I don't guess it really matters. Looks like it might be a little, whoa. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this set of strings, make sure I got the right way up, and through the eyelets that I put in the cover. This may take a little bit more patience. You may have to do one at a time, which does not sound fun. Oh, I got 2 of them. Trying to keep my head out of the way, I think, is a hindrance, not a help. Alright, so I got the top ones fed in there. Now I'm going to do the bottom. And hopefully the tops don't come out. Oh, got all 3 that time. Now, before I go a little too crazy, I need to make sure that everything's lined up, and then I want to... Feels like those are tight. They are. Alright, so now I've got them all 3 in there, but before I do any tying, I want to make sure there's no loosey-goosey threads someplace. There doesn't seem to be. And all I'm going to do is just tie a regular knot, and I'm not going to tie it super, super tight, because like I said, I want them to have a little bit of give. So, oh, I was going to tie a bow. I guess you could tie a bow too if you really wanted to. And that way it would be a lot easier to change them out if you wanted. That might be too loose. Oh. No, I think that looks good. I like it. Look at there. Looks like the center one isn't as tight as the 2 outside ones. I don't know. I guess it's this one. So I'm just gonna there we go. There we go. I got it. Alright, so I've only did a regular knot. Now I'm gonna do it one more time. Now that I know everything is exactly the way I want it. Just gonna do one more overhand knot. I'm gonna put a little dab of glue. Just a little bit. This is just white glue, Scotch Quick Dry. Oh, maybe I won't put a little dab of glue. We'll put a little dab of glue in there. And then I'm going to cut these strings off. You can leave them on and put something dangly on there. That might be kind of cool. Well, maybe I'll leave some. Maybe just in case I want to put something on there. So I'm going to leave a little bit there. Alright, so now I can go in and take my paper clips off. And I'm going to close my envelopes up. So I'm going to start back here. And I'm going to use, this time I'm going to use the Fabri-Tac Beacon, my favorite. I get mine at Hobby Lobby, and well, almost always at Hobby Lobby. It never goes on sale. So, you know, again, use your coupon. And it's in the fabric section. It's almost never where scrapbooking stuff is. It's usually by the fabrics. So it's kind of, you know, hard to find in the store, but it's there, I promise. And the nice thing about Fabri-Tac is it doesn't warp your paper. So this is really thin paper. No, not super thin. It's probably about copy weight, you know, just regular copy paper weight. So a white glue would certainly, most definitely warp this paper. But the Fabri-Tac, say that 3 times fast. Fabri-Tac. Yeah. Alright, so that one's closed up. And I'm going to do the other 2 here real quick. Yeah, there we go. All closed up. That looks so cool. I totally like it. I totally like it. Another thing I was going to do is I was going to put some string on that hole there. I'm not going to do like a closure. Let's see. How do I want to do it? I want to like... Oops, just put a knot in there. I want to double it up and double it up again, maybe. Maybe not double it up again, but... Then I'm just going to feed it through like that. Yeah, just to give it some, just a little bit of weight right here. No big deal. So I'm going to do that to all of them. Maybe not right this second, but I just wanted to point out that, I think it's important to add just a little bit of weight to keep it down. And then, let's see, the envelopes. Let me show you what I did with these envelopes. So here's my finished one, and I did a little brad closure, and then I lined the inside so you couldn't see the brad. You can see the blue that I did in there. And then let me show you how I did this, which I know I've showed you all in other videos, but I'm going to go ahead and show you again. Let me find my... Here is my DIY instruction manual. Let's see, what page are we on here? 28. So I also want to point out the covers for this is on page 37, which obviously I didn't use. Where's it at? But, again, it fits it perfect. There's the envelope, so it fits it perfect. I probably could have lined the old book covers with it, but anyway, so I just want to point that out. And then there's also inserts, which we'll get to in just a second. So what I want is I want my templates. So these are the add-on mat templates that you can purchase separately if you don't buy a bundle. If you buy a bundle, these come with it. Just remember that. If you buy a bundle, you get the add-on mat templates. And then I'm going to get one of the mat pages. And all I'm going to do is trace the pieces out. I'm not going to be using this this big piece here that goes here because it's going to be attached. Okay, so all you need to do is each one of these add-on mat templates, fits each part perfectly. So how I'm going to do it is I'm just going to lay it down. I actually found a straight edge right there. I'm just going to lay it down, take a pencil, and trace them out. Okay, so I did this extra one so the inside, I could line the inside because I'm going to use a brad. So I just flipped it upside down so that when I go to line it, it's going to fit perfectly on that edge. So that's all I need these for. So I'm going to go ahead and put these up. And then I'm going to trim these out and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and cut them all out and inked them up so that they're ready to go. So all I'm going to do is just start gluing them on. I'm going to open it this way. Just need to remember which way it goes. And I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac again. I'm sorry if you can hear my doggie. She's been having a whole lot of... I noticed in the last video she's... oh, I didn't ink this envelope. I need to ink the envelope. I could hear her in the last video. She's really, really old and she gets choked up really easily, and she's really kind of old for dogs too. I mean, she's a toy poodle and she she's pretty old. She's at least 16, I think. She might be 17. She's getting up there in years. Okay, and then I'm not going to line it just yet, but I am going to put the one that goes on the outside. Wow. See, it's such flimsy paper. And then I'm going to put this bottom piece on. And I can't glue it together yet. I need to ink it up real quick. I'm going to do that. Okay, I inked it up real quick. So now I am going to glue it together because in order to put the brad on there, they overlap right where the brad's going to be. Sorry about that. My camera shut off on me, and it was because the battery was dead, so I had to go get a new battery. Alright, so I just closed that bottom, or those two flaps up, and now I'm going to add glue. So my glue erupted while I was doing that, dang it. So that's too much glue, way too much glue, but oh well. So then I'm going to close the bottom up. I'm just going to hold it for a second. So with this one, I'm going to use these brads that I got at Hobby Lobby by the Paper Studio Spare Parts. They're called antique brads, and I thought they looked really cool with the maps and stuff. These had like crowns on them. Crowns, not crayons. Crowns. And these, I don't know what that is, but I think it's going to look just good. Just perfect. So, I think I'm just going to see how far I measured up here. To about an inch. Looks like. Alright, I measured up about an inch from this point and that bend there. I'm just going to mark it. And then, I guess I need to do the same thing here. Just going to mark it. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as the other one because they're not going to be side by side or anything. So I just want to mark it right there. Then I want to get my little pad thingy back out, and I poke my hole right there. And then for the inside here, I've got this thinner, longer piece. I'm just going to stick it in there and be careful not to go all the way through. But you know what, if you do, it's okay because it's going to be glued to the cover anyway. I kind of pulled that apart a little bit. Alright, so these are really sturdy brads. They're kind of hard to bend, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Alright. Oh! Look at there. That one broke. Huh. I guess I'm going to have to use the other ones. Well, that's a stink. There's nothing I could do to fix it where it's going to hold instantly, so I'll just use the other two. Where'd they go? They have flowers on them. So, Paper Studio people, they have to have some sort of give, some sort of bendy quality. Okay. So I'm just going to stick this in here, and I'll try to stick it in there. Be careful. And then reach in here and open up the prongs. Okay, and then I'm going to stick this in here. Open up the prongs. I think I'm going to try to flatten this one out a little better. Oh, there, I got it. Okay, so now they're both on there. Cool. Then I'm going to put this liner on to hide those ugly prongs. Okay, next step is we're going to add the same string that I used in the binding. And all I'm going to do is go up underneath. I might have it too tight. Go up underneath there. And I'm just going to tie a knot. No big deal. And have the knot go up underneath there and tie another knot. And cut this string off right there. And then I should just be able to wind it around like so. You can decide how much string you want to keep or not keep. Alright, so there's both of those. So I guess we could go ahead and attach them to our covers. Let's do the back one first. Okay. You can use the score tape if you want. You could, if you want to, you could just do 3 sides and have like a pocket, which might be kind of cool. Well, let's do that just in case. You never know. So I'll just put glue on 3 sides here. Again, just the Fabri-Tac. And I'm going to try to get it centered here. There's the same amount all the way around. Looks good. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So let's leave that side open. That's a good idea. To have maybe have a pocket or a secret little spot to tuck stuff in. And you know, if you never use it, you never use it, but hey, the option's there. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing. Try to eyeball equal amounts all the way around. Yeah, I like it. So let's see how that looks now. We're getting thicker. Getting a little thicker. I don't know, it looks good. I like it. Okay, so the last thing I need to do is make inserts for these. So I think, let me get my thing back out. And the inserts for these are on page, whoa, that one's something. There's one on page 16 and one on page 23. So I'm going to do the 23 one. You know what too, if I would have thought, I didn't think about this, I just saw these sitting over there. I had these from the, when I did the standard envelope. The doily doesn't really go with the travel theme, but I could have used these. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use the template. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to get, I think this will be fun. If I can reach it. Hold on. Ugh, I've got so much stuff sitting around. I'm going to take another piece of the sketch paper, and I'm going to take another piece of this journal paper, and I'm going to fold this in half. I don't think I can get 2 out of here. Let's see. No. I'm just going to fold it in half this way. This might be a little wasteful, but I think it's cool. And I'm just going to line it up. There, and trace it out and cut it out. And these are going to be my inserts, so I'm going to have extra sketch paper and extra journal paper. I thought it was kind of cool. Cool idea. Then you just trim them out. And then I think I'll just ink the edges. So if you wanted to, you could put them together, layer them in there together, or just have them two, you know, separate But basically, you have, oh look, that's kind of cool. That's kind of a neat looking little design. So you'll have some extra places to write and sketch out something, so you can put both of them in there, just like that. See, fits just perfect. And I'm gonna make some for each one. And then, I don't know what else I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna think about it, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I think I'm gonna be done. I did add a few of the stickers. I didn't use the suitcases that I tore apart from this sheet, but I did use those baggage tickets. And this was part of the one that the globe came on. So this is like a 3, it says, go into the world, explore, and live. So I thought that was cute. But then the baggage tickets, you see I just added them to some of the journaling pages. And then the inserts, of course, are inside there. And I added the string to all of them. There's some more. I just cut them into pieces and added them to the pages. No big deal. And then there's another one. There's a couple more. Whoops. There's another one. And there's the back page. So I really didn't do a whole lot of extra. I just wanted to add those tickets and finish up making the inserts for all of these. So I guess we'll call this done. I really like it. I really like the way it turned out. It's a little thicker, but I think this part right here allowed it to grow a little bit without it being like an alligator. I mean, it's a little, you know, it's popping up just a little bit, but not a whole lot. So I really dig it. I really like the way it turned out. I think it's awesome. I think you guys should give it a try. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and let me know what you think in the comments below. And this is the final Ultimate DIY Scrapbook Printable Template album that I wanted to show you. So there were 7 different sizes, and I've made like, I don't know, how many did I make? I made 15 or 16 different journals from beginning to end here, and there's so many more possible, you know, ideas. It's just amazing. It's just unlimited. So anyway, any important links will be in the description box below this video. Links to the printables, links to other videos. Yeah, so let me know if you make one of these. I really like the maps. The maps are super cool. So, alright, I will see you next time. Bye.